absolutely gargantuan game here in the NFC North between two teams that will not be making the playoffs. Mathematically impossible for the Vikings, mathematically possible for the Lions. However, I believe they need the Packers to lose out, and we'll see how that holds up. Dan Campbell's team finally lost 2 straight games. Fell to the Rams a couple of weeks ago. They lose to the Steelers 29-24. Now, the ending was pretty cool with Jared Goff flipping into the end zone, but ruled for offensive pass interference, and they call it back, and the Steelers end up winning that game. So now the Lions, I'll be very honest here, and this, I'm not a fan of either one of these teams, but just in the interest of being transparent and honest, the Lions have been screwed with this year. They played on Thanksgiving. Now they're playing on Christmas. I think it was Penei Sewell who was complaining about that. After these 2 straight losses, they go on the road to face a division rival on a short week. It's a tough situation for the Lions, and they're a better football team than the Vikings, especially if Max Brosmer is playing. But the Lions have every reason in the world to be feeling like crap about themselves. And we've always said Dan Campbell never loses 2 games in a row, always covers after a loss, all that stuff. It's Dan Campbell. It's Dan Campbell. Well, maybe it's just not happening for them this year because they did just lose 2 straight games. So maybe the Vikings are going to win this game at home.
You know, it's an interesting spot. Like Max Brosmer playing quarterback for them, it kind of concerns me. I think the dogs are live with the points because I'm just thinking back to Thanksgiving Day where all 3 dogs won outright and covered. I don't know if we get the same thing in this spot here. But when I look at the Minnesota Vikings defensively, they're going to present challenges for the Detroit Lions. The Lions basically no longer in the playoffs. The one thing I'm thankful for, this game happening on Thursday, the Lions have to win out to obviously make the playoffs, and they need the Packers to lose out. So they're still going to come out and play with a little fire. This team has been terrible, though, in my mind, since Dan Campbell. I'm blanking here. I'm so fired up. Dan Campbell started calling the offense. And I know they weren't good with the old OC, but like Dan Campbell calling the plays was dumb. Like take points early in the game here. Defensively, the Lions, the Steelers are not that good offensively. Aaron Rodgers picked them apart. Aaron Rodgers looked like he was 26 years old in this game. So there's a lot of problems right now for the Detroit Lions. My fear is the quarterback situation for the Minnesota Vikings. Even if 9 was on the field for the Minnesota Vikings, I still have my concerns there. So I would lean towards the Lions. With the points, I think it's going to be tight. I might consider taking the Vikings plus 5.5, but like Jahmyr Gibbs going to get the run game going. Hopefully the Lions couldn't run the ball at all against the Steelers. If they're able to run the ball a little more, take some pressure off Jared Goff, I think they probably cover this line, but it's going to be tight.
Yeah, I'll stick up for the Lions a little bit. They should not be this bad. They should not be this bad with the amount of talent they have. Now, for the second straight year, they do have a ton of injuries on defense. Terry and Arnold on IR, Brian Branch on IR, Kirby Joseph on IR, Jalen Mills out, Dan Jackson on IR. That secondary has just been devastated. But their front line is still there. Aiden Hutchinson, Aleem McNeil, DJ Reader, Anzalone, and Campbell, and Derek Barnes, and all of them, they're still there. So to your point, should the Steelers have been able to run the ball as effectively as they did? No, absolutely not. It's actually not even the run defense that's been my problem, though. It's the run offense has been kind of non-existent in some of these Lions losses. I mean, last week, they carried the ball 12 times for 15 yards. That should never happen. And maybe that's a downfall of Dan Campbell when he is calling these plays. But the disappearing running game has been a recurring theme in their losses. Going back to week 1 against the Packers, David Montgomery has the team high in rushing yards with 25. Against the Vikings in week 9, which was their 3rd loss of the season. David Montgomery with the high of 40 yards. Their loss to the Eagles, Gibbs has the high with 39 yards. Heck, Gibbs 38 yards against the Rams. Montgomery 14 last weekend or on Sunday. You know, it's a recurring theme of when they don't run the football, they lose games. And it's funny because Jared Goff is actually playing really well. But the one thing you've always counted on with the Lions is they're always going to be able to run the football, and they've gotten away from it whenever they've lost these games.
Yeah, and they really had to get away from it yesterday. Like they had to. Everything was negative play. And the one good carry that they had was with David Montgomery. Jahmyr Gibbs could not get anything going. It's just Jared Goff looked good, but the defense didn't look good enough. They didn't play complimentary football. And you kind of knew Yeah, I thought the Lions were going to come back until the Pittsburgh Steelers went down the field right before the Lions' last drive. I thought when they were down like 5, it was going to be a punt and, go from there. But, honestly, really good game from Pittsburgh. They needed to win. They absolutely got the job done for the Lions. I think they're going to come out with fire in this game. I think they cover the 5.5 points. What do you leading 5.5?
I'm with you that I think it's going to be very tight. Honestly, I might watch the first series for each team or first quarter, just try to get a feel for how the game is going to go and live bet it. Because right now I am being drawn towards the Vikings at +6 is where I found it. And I'm not going to lie, that's scary. It's Max Brosmer. The guy has one start in the NFL. He had 120 yards and 4 interceptions. Now, that was against the Seahawks, who have a top 5 defense in the NFL. And as I just mentioned, the Lions have their front line intact, but their secondary has been destroyed. So maybe Max Brosmer can have a good game against them. I don't know, but his chances are probably elevated. But that being said, if he scores 20 points and has 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, we say, okay, Max Brosmer did a nice job relative to Max Brosmer expectations. But the Lions could score 30, 40 points on the other side, and they could still cover.
Yeah, definitely. So anyways, props in this game. We don't have many here. Is this the one? Let's see. We don't have any props for this game, right?
No, we don't, unfortunately. So, I would love to talk about what to expect, but I really don't. Maybe just kind of building off of the Max Brosmer stuff and the Lions injuries. When his line comes out, maybe I would take the over. It obviously depends on what it's at. I could see him getting a decent amount of passing yards in this game, though.
Is 9 definitely out, though? Like, he's questionable.
He's not definitely out.
I think 9's going to play.
I don't. I think they'll take care of him. I think they'll shut him down.
McCarthy left Sunday 16-13 win. The Giants appears to have avoided a broken hand bone in his hand. He had the rushing touchdown too. 9 was looking pretty good against the New York Giants. That was such an ugly game. That was disgusting. Both sides.
I think the NFL needs to have some sort of tanking committee to look into when teams are throwing games. Because as good as Jackson Dart has been this season, you're telling me he goes an entire game, 7 of 13, 33 yards and an interception? You're telling me the Giants didn't put the call in, lose this game so we can get the first pick?
Jackson Dart doesn't neither. It was sloppy across the board, so I can't really say. Like, the Giants defense in fantasy, I think they still had 20-something points in fantasy. The defense played hard.
Dude, 40 total yards passing and rushing. That's worse than anything Justin Fields did this year.
It's pretty bad. It's a pretty bad game overall.
40 yards in a game for your quarterback, 1 interception.
It was sloppy. They probably, you want a higher pick at this point. I don't even know why teams play at this point in the season. We should have the Max Brosmers out there at all times. We should have the Josh Johnsons out there at all times at this point in the season. If you're good, the Commanders shutting down Jaden Daniels, realistically, he should have been shut down a long time ago. He should have been, all these starting quarterbacks, Jackson Dart, and I get it. He's a rookie. You want to get him time. He should be shut down. The man has 72 concussions this season. Get him out. For JJ McCarthy, I agree with you. He's probably not going to play. He shouldn't play. Get him out. Why are we just having bad offensive linemen block for young quarterbacks at this point in time? It doesn't make any sense when your season's eliminated, and it honestly helps you to lose football games.
I'm trying to find out who the Giants practice squad quarterback is, because the unfortunate reality here is, okay, when you shut down Jackson Dart, if you put Jameis Winston in there, Jameis Winston's going to win the football game. So that's not going to help your tank. So I'm trying to find who their practice squad guys are. Here we go. Okay, practice squad. Do they even have a practice squad quarterback? They do not have one listed on their team website.
There you go. So
maybe it will be Jameis or Russ or somebody.
I personally think that either of those guys play. Russ is going to say, I don't want to go out there at this point. Russ would be like, I'm done. Don't put me in. Jameis.
No, I disagree. I think Russ would go out there and try to go for 400 yards.
Is he done? Do you think he's never? Is anyone going to pick him up to be a starting quarterback ever again? Probably not.
Probably not. I'm looking at teams right now where he could be the starting quarterback. The Jets. But they're probably going to pick Mendoza or Dante Moore. But just right now in this moment, he can start for the Jets. Is he better than Shador Sanders? I would say yes. He's still better than Shador, so he could start for the Browns. I think Cam Ward is probably better than he is right now. And then Tyler Shuck has actually looked all right. And Jacoby Brissett has been balling for the Cardinals. So maybe those two teams, maybe Geno Smith on the Raiders as the third.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't. If I was Russ, I'd just call it a career. I'd go hang with Sierra, and just go hang with her and my kids and call it a day and say I won a Super Bowl and made a boatload of money. But props I'll be looking for in this game: Lions offensive props over, Jahmyr Gibbs, combined rushing over. I know the Minnesota Vikings are competitive on defense. I still just think that these guys offensively are going to go off because they have nothing to lose at this point, and that's really going to be the biggest difference in the game for me.